Okay, so let's go ahead and put a transparency map on this guy. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to Photoshop and sort of look at the material that I made. This one, it looks pretty good, but what I'm going to do is go and let's do another unsharp mask, because what's going to happen with this guy is anything that's black is going to be solid and anything that's white is going to be transparent. So if you go in and do a sharpen and an unsharp mask and you play with it a little bit. Actually, let's go ahead and pull this guy out so you can kind of see what it looks like from a distance. And if I go to the filter and go to the unsharp mask again, bring it up. So filter and not go to unsharp mask here because that just repeats the last one. I'm just going to go to sharpen and unsharp mask so we can look at this. And I want to create something that's a little bit more solid. So you can kind of play around. Let's bring the pixels down here. Let's look at the amount. You can see the amount if I pull the amount up, and let's look at the threshold, sort of getting more solid black in there. You know, the threshold higher, it gets a little bit more dim, but you can kind of play around with these, you know, until you get something, you know, that I just want this all to be white, right? And these to be pretty dark. So I think that's it. So I'll just click OK, and then I'll do a file, save as, and I'll save this as the transparency, to transparency. Click OK and click OK. And then I can come in to Revit, open up my material browser, right, and let me pull it over here so we can kind of see it a little better. And then for the transparency, I'll click that on and I'll pick the image, right, and I'll pick that transparency option, click open, and then I'll go in and make sure that the sample size is the same. So unlock that and put that at 4 feet, right, and put that at 8 feet. And if I click done and apply, you're going to start to see it go transparent there, right? So it's, if we zoom in and out a little bit, you'll see the transparency occurring. You know, it's not perfect, but it's working pretty well. And let's at this point, it's good to sort of see if you're going to do your final renderings in Inkscape. Then we can look and see what it looks like in Inkscape. So I'll turn on Inkscape and get it going. Alright, so I've got this guy open in Inkscape and in Revit on the right hand side. And once you actually have the transparency map, you don't really necessarily need the color map on it. So you can see the color map has some edges that are white, and maybe you like that, but what if you wanted it to be crisper? So if you come in and go to your material browser, you can actually come in and remove this guy, this image. So if I come in to this pull down, I can remove image, and then if I set it to black, right, and click OK and hit apply, now it just is showing a solid background, and it's cutting the background out with that, so it just becomes more uniform, right? And you'll see the difference as well in Revit. So at this point we could come in here and let's go ahead and go to my 3D view, be a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and make a wall that goes kind of below this guy. So I'll go to architecture and wall architectural, and I'll just edit type for this generic 6-inch wall, duplicate it, and I'll name it resin panel 1/2 inch. Okay, and click OK. And then if I edit the structure, I'll just make this structure 1/2 inch, right? And then change the material to our resin that we made. Okay, click that and click OK, and then click OK, and click OK. And then I'll go ahead and set the unconnected height to like I think 2'10" maybe, and I'll just go to pick line and sort of pick that guy. And let's see, I think I got it wrong. Let's see, looks like the base offset is 4 feet, so I'm going to set that to 0, and there we go. And then if I come in and set this guy to realistic, right, you can see it here. And if I back up over here and kind of navigate over, let's go to where that guy is, right, and kind of navigate into it, and you can see it creating that, right? So there is a slight difference between the two. If you kind of zoom up, but at this point we could also come in, and if I select this guy and edit type and duplicate that, I can duplicate this into resin. Let's just do color panel, right? And then I'll edit the structure for that, and instead of the thicket, I'll create just a new material, and I'll call that resin color panel. And for the appearance, I'll just set it to red for right now. That's a little drastic. Maybe a blue. Click OK. And I'll also self-illuminate it. And the default self-illumination is a dim glow. And I can set that to the same sort of blue, maybe. Okay, click OK. And graphics, I'll use render appearance for graphics, and click OK. And click OK. And click OK. So now I've got this guy is set to that. And I'll just go to my level 1 here and come in, and let's just pick that wall, and let's move it sort of back, right? And then let's move it back so it's sort of sticking out of there, and then I'll just copy it from here to here, and then I'll pick the wall that I just copied in front. You'll be able to see if I go to wireframe, and I'll flip it out for the resin panel. So now I've sort of got this resin panel in front of the blue panel, right? And then there's my, and let's go ahead and sort of mess with the, right? If you get the light right, the roughness shows up. The other thing you can do is with the self-illumination, I'm holding down the shift key and pressing my right mouse button, but if I go to the night, then you'll see that guy start to glow, right? And you'll get a sort of nice glow with that, right? So you can start to play with that. When we come back, I'll show you how to do a even recessed lighting glow.